Welcome back to Rules of Engagement. Just talking to them. Production was going crazy about that full set. Let's talk about that full set promo ad. It was actually pretty awesome. See like a truck parked on the moon and stuff. There's some cool stuff you can do with full sale. If you want more information, go to www. These guys, fullsail.edu/MLG. It's a great educational opportunity. You want to learn about a lot of that animation stuff you just saw in that promo. There's also audio engineering, design work, game design, all those components that actually you might have recognized. Some of them I think that giant four-legged monster guy might have came from Quake or something. But all this stuff is used in video game design and production. So if you want to get into the building of video games, it's a great way to get some education in that regard. Or even if you want to jump into esports. I mean, we do a lot of graphics. You see every time we come back from commercial break, there's like a little 10-second little Rules of Engagement logo animation. I mean, that's all graphics we do. We hire a lot of people from Full Sail. So we have a full-time graphics guy from there. I got a couple interns. Great way to get into esports. Great way to find a pretty stable career in this world, which is something to be said. www.fullsail.edu/MLG for more information. It's not some weird spamware program. Just give you, you say what type of programs you're interested in. They'll tell you what classes they offer and the basically different career paths you can kind of launch yourself on. So I hope you guys check that out. It's a pretty cool promo. Let's talk about this next replay that was sent to me, though. It's going to be a Protoss replay sent from Jokal. And what he said is, it often appears as if I got the right units and composition. But in a straight-up battle, I lose, even though during the battle, it seems to me that I'm winning. What do I do wrong? How can I better assess my chances of leaving the battle as the winner? And so we're going to take a look at the replay sent me and think about a couple things as we go through this. And the first is going to be, before it even gets to the battle, it's important to be able to react to your scouting and information to know if you should be going for a timing or not. And then you should be able to talk about how you can judge army strengths. And then we'll talk about some of the micro priorities when you get into those battles. Because sometimes you'll lose a battle and you actually evaluated it correctly, or you judged army values correctly, and it was a good battle to do, and you just kind of made some little mistakes in the micromanagement. So let's jump in the replay at the 5-minute mark when you look at this from Jokal's vision. He just got his opponent had built 2 barracks out. I don't know why to put him there, but proxy 2 barracks probably tried to hide them. Basically, it's going to be a reactor. He saw it was a reactor first. You can assume the second one's going to be Tech Lab, Marine Marauder, 2 racks pressure. This used to be a very common build at pro level. It's still pretty common at a lot of different levels of play. So if you scout an aggressive build, you have two ways to basically get ahead of your opponent. One is you can get ahead in economy. So you definitely have to be building workers. Right here, there's no workers being built. You're already in trouble. Right? In fact, you're at the same worker count as a Terran, which is terrible. So there's 2 options. One is to get ahead in economy, which is not happening. And then you just defend their attack, and then you win the game. Or you get way ahead. Or the other option is you can mass units and then try to just totally smash your army, take map control, kill them. Or kill them if you can't kill them, take map control, and mass expand. So going for a 4-gate, which is actually one of the weakest builds against 2 racks, but it's okay. Going for a 4-gate, you're obviously saying, I'm going to be behind him significantly in economy, but I'm going to try to smash his army. So that's what you got to do. You got to smash your army, which is really important to this whole question about how to judge engagements when your whole goal here is to smash his army. The one thing that's super important, though, is one is this warp gate timing is insanely late. But that's not even that big a deal. The most important thing is that if you're going to do a 4-gate, you got to have proxy pylons up. You got it, because you're going for the army smash. You got to be able to keep the momentum going, cross the map, and kill them before the fact that your economy and tech are so poor will put you too far behind in the game. So still continue watching this replay for a bit, and we'll go forward here. So I mean, that's one problem, is that there's no pylon right here. There's no pylon. Even back here would be actually a really sick place to put it. And you're just gonna keep making units, and this is fine. You're going for the 4-gate. That's it's. I don't think it's a good counter, but you're not going to automatically lose this from that. So here, you're judging engagement. Actually, let's back this up a tiny bit. There we go. Back this up a tiny bit and talk about what goes on. So here, it looks like, let's actually jump into replay. Can you fight this or not? Well, let's look at your army value. Your army value is actually going to be encompassed by your entire thing. It's 500 minerals, 200 gas. His army value looks like it's roughly similar, but it's actually not, right? I mean, if you add these up together, it's 250 minerals, 450 minerals, and 50 gas in his army, not counting SCVs. So his army is smaller than yours. You should be able to take this fight and win. With concussive shell, if he micros really well, maybe he can win this battle, but you should be able to take this battle and win it pretty convincingly. The problem here is that, well, first you lose the sentry to start, which isn't good. The other problem is the force fields are very counterproductive force fields, so that's not so good. And another problem is you kind of back away. Although I guess you're forced to back away because of the counterproductive force fields. So this is a situation. One thing is, as you judge army strengths, the best way to tell if you made a mistake, it's easy to go into this and think, oh, I had to retreat, I lost a zealot in the sentry, I made a mistake in engaging my opponent there. But what you do is you look at the army value tab, like I just did there, and it's one of the best ways to tell if you're accurate. So remember how I looked at it, I said your army was stronger, so it was a good idea to engage, it was just the micro was a little bit messed up. I mean, it was a pretty close call whether or not to engage it. At a pro level with great kiting, the Terran probably would have come out ahead. But at a non-pro level, it was a perfect decision to engage here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but the micro is a little bit off. But that's something that'll happen. It's okay. Your judgment was fine there. I wouldn't blame that. As you go forward in this game, we're still into that problem. There's no proxy pylon. And you're getting further and further and further behind in the game because your economy is so much weaker than your opponent's. I mean, even worker count, but he's got the mules, right? So he's actually not really using, he just landed a mule, so hasn't quite kicked into that economy graph. Not to mention the fact that he's actually got a lot of tech going for him too. He's got concussive shells, combat shells finishing. So you've got to go out across the map and smash his army, which is still fine. Everything's still going okay now as long as you can get the army smash going. So this is where it comes to the point again where you're killing the rocks for some reason. Don't know. I mean, the longer you wait, the worse this gets. That's okay though. Now you've got this size army as you engage his stuff, right? So if you look at, this is your entire army is basically, like at this point we can just look at the army value tab entirety because you don't have any units that aren't basically with your army and neither does he. So you can see here your army is considerably larger than his. Now the one problem is the composition is pretty sub-ideal. You want a lot more sentries when you engage Terran. I would recommend less stalkers and more, actually the same amount of stalkers, just more sentries. Just, you know, you've got plenty of extra resources. Just keep making more units. So the warpins could be better. But these are all side details. Actually, yeah, these are all on cooldown for a very long time. That's kind of not a goodish thing. But you got a stronger army here. Engaging him is totally fine. Your judgments on when to engage your opponent are absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with them at all. So it's easy to second guess yourself on that. The problem, the force fields actually are good. You just back the units up and kill these. Then he has to come around them. Unfortunately, here's where the problem is. The engagement is fine, but the micro priorities are not really fine. I mean, the force fields were okay. The guardian shield is good, but the most important thing, always, when you come onto an engagement, is maximizing the number of units you have in the battle. So you've already lost 2 zealots from the battle because they ran ahead. So that's already a little bit of a fail for 200 resources. Now you've got 6 zealots who aren't in the battle either. And of course you've got 2 stalkers who aren't in the battle. And you've got potentially 4 more anything. Well, it could be 4 sentries even. It could be 3 sentries and a stalker, or 3 sentries and a zealot. You have 4 extra units who aren't in the battle. So you're actually you're using like the tiniest portion of your army possible, and in fact the weakest DPS-wise, which is the stalkers. They don't really do damage. It's the zealots and the sentries that really actually get things done. So I mean, he's gonna come in here just gonna kill your stuff. And now you're fighting, but now you're fighting with an army size that's roughly even, and that's, you know, but he has more tech. He's got combat shields and he's got the concussive shells. So now you're dead, right? This is actually cool here again. I mean, if you actually didn't back away here, you might have. Yeah, if you didn't back away here, look at the army value tabs. You were stronger than him. If you didn't back away, you could have focused down to the marauders. I mean, it's 5 marauders and you have 8 units. you maybe would have killed this army. And then actually, since he only has 1 production building that can build bio units, and you have 4 warp gates. If you kept warping in, you still here missing more. You basically probably could have won this game. But and the problem here is if we jump back to your question quickly, it says you often have the right units in composition in a straight-up battle, but you're losing even though it seems like you're winning. And so that's just the micro priority here. So if we jump back and let's rewind this just a little bit into this battle. Battle back here. Let's fast forward it back up to that little engagement here. So right here, you're right. You're winning. Look at that. Look at the army value difference. Look at this over here. In fact, we're actually gonna bring up a little thing and look at how different these numbers are over there, right? I mean, that's a huge difference, right? That's like you've got like 4 extra units on it. And you know what's even better than that? Let's jump back in the game. Not only do you have those extra units, but you have another you have like another 4 extra units on them. So you're way ahead. You are winning. You're right there. But what you're doing wrong is your micro priorities wrong. The unit composition could be a lot better with more sentries, but that's even with this unit composition, you should win. It's just you got to get those micro priorities down. So the important thing is to understand when you come into a game, look at the replay, and look, did you have a bigger army or not? If you did, your mistake wasn't in engaging. It was something to do with the micro, right? And so you got to get that micro priority down. Always the priority before anything. I don't care if you've got like a mothership walking around that you really want to use, or something. You have storms. Always a priority is to get your to maximize units into battle. So that means attack moving your army. Units are attacking buildings, get them off those buildings. Always prioritize getting as many units into battle as possible. Then do all the fancy force fields, guardian shield, whatever you want. But got to get your whole army in that battle. And that's going to take a couple mouse clicks. But it's very, very, very important. So just keep focused on that. Your judgment is great. Everything's great. Just got to keep your mind focused more on the micro priorities. It wraps up this segment about Protoss versus Terran and trying to judge how to engage your opponent and if you had a stronger army or not. We'll take a quick break and be right back with the last segment. It's going to be a Terran replay on how to execute the 2 racks versus Zerg.